Hey guys, welcome back to Thorough Capping. It's Dave. For this year's Breeders' Cup, what my intentions are is to use a model that combines both the thorough capping, the original thorough capping information with the matrix factors, along with the qualitative moves, coming up with a thorough capper rating. But I'm also going to use to follow the figures along with that. I will compare the two models, and I'm also going to do a combination over here, final analysis, where we compare the final TC ratings along with the final FTF ratings, follow the figure totals, and see if we can get a pretty good consensus. Now, what I did was the Breeders' Cup Classic performances. If you Google Breeders' Cup past performances, the very first response that comes up is you click it, you can get a free copy of the early past performances for the Breeders' Cup Classic. Now, there's no post position draws yet. There's no, which I don't like, but at the same time, I like the fact there's no morning lines as well to influence anything. But what I did was I used them early PPs, and I took all the potential entries, which there's 18. There's going to be some scratches here, but I took all 18 entries, and I ran them through the matrix system factors, recorded the qualitative notes, and I only used class drop, race moves, and next out, either one winner next out, two winners, three winners, and so forth, to identify either next out winner or key race. And then I also ran them all through the Follow the Figures program as well. Now, again, the Follow the Figures program is available in the thorough capping tutorial. I made it a download where you just click it. And if it's not, if you have the older version of the Thorough Capping Deluxe, you can just email me. It has my email in there, and request a free copy of the Follow the Figures as well. The Follow the Figures grids are also available in the on the grid page, on the grid download. It's just we have Follow the Figures TC grids along with Follow the Figure grids right mixed in there, so you don't have to go and create a brand new page. It's already there. So all you got to do is, again, some of these are later entries. If you were an early purchaser of the Thorough Capping Deluxe when it first came out, all you have to do is go into the tutorial again, click download grids, and you'll get a new copy right here, and just copy it and save it for yourself, and you'll have access to all these. Also, before I forget, I had a few comments and an email asking about the tri-race model. Okay, the tri-race model. What I've done now is I've added the tri-race model to the actual, these are the official grid page. So now you have a recency model at it. You have the tri-race model at it. You have just TC grids only. You have the TC grids with the Follow the Figures charts. And then you have the originals that I first started with, where we have the Brohammer pace models mixed in as well. Okay, so once again, just go back and re-download the grids, and you'll have access to all the new additions. Let's take another look back at the Classic and see where things are pointing, in what direction. Let me go back here real quick. Let me find it. Here we go. If we take a look at the 18 potential entries, Zandon right now stands out for me in the matrix side, and as well as in the TC rating, overall TC rating. So Zandon is actually my top play if I were just using this model only. Okay, what I did was, because of the number of horses, number of entries, I did add more eligible entries here. With I went 3 deep in a lot of these categories, or pretty much all these categories. Well, with the exception of the final fraction, which I could probably, we have a lot of 88s tied here. See what kind of picture this paints. Actually, there's only 3 88s, but then we have an 87. We'll go green there, a green there. All right, but again, Zandon stands out over here. In the TC ratings, I went 5 deep or 6 deep. Again, just to get a set of qualifiers from each of these models, maybe 6 qualifiers, and then when I see the post position draw, I'm going to let that influence my handicapping a little bit and making my final selections as well. I don't know what they're going to... I have no idea what they're going to cut it down to, whether it's going to be a 12-horse field, 10-horse field. I don't know. If somebody does know, or I haven't really read up on anything like that. If anybody wants to put that in the comments, if they know already, we'll check it out. I haven't checked on any early scratches or anything yet. I will be doing that this week, but what I wanted to do is just see what this looked like when I combined these models together. So we look at the follow the figures model. If I were using just this model only, okay, I would have a couple of options here. I'd have Arcangelo, Zandon still figures a little bit here. White Abarrio figures for me. The overall TC rating altogether, even though they're not showing a lot of tops or seconds here, they're showing enough consistency where Proxy is actually coming out as my top FTF rating in the end at a 100.90, just a tad above White Abarrio. So I mean, that would be something to keep my eye on. Proxy's going to be a long shot. Then we also have Clapton, which is showing up more on the right side of the follow the figure grids with the average. The endurance rating, which is normally a part of the matrix system. What I did was, since this is such a long race, I went and I replaced the early speed column, and I didn't figure out early speed. Instead, I replaced it with the endurance rating, and I threw it down here. So whether that skews the data or not, it is what it is. I mean, I was either going to use it here or up here anyway. But it turns out, once I created this grid and I started doing the figuring, I forgot that I wanted to add endurance in. So what I did was, when I started doing the follow the figures, I plugged the endurance column in this particular grid instead. Then we have our late speed, which is the same as our final fraction. So I tied it right into both models, the final fraction. And then what I did was I did an overall consensus between the two. Okay, so this column number 1 is actually a reflection of the overall TC rating. Column number 2 is actually a reflection of the follow figure rating. And then over here is, I called it power. But really what it is, it's just a combined average rating of the two different models. And as you can see, White Abarrio gets the top nod when you combine the two models, and Zandon actually gets the second. Okay, and then we have Clapton figures in here, which I don't know if Clapton's going to be in the race. Clapton may be a scratch before, actually an early scratch. I don't mean a scratch once the post positions are drawn, but an early scratch. But right now I'm keeping them all in. And what I'm going to do is, once the post position draws are in and I see who's not in, I'm just going to delete or strike through the ones that aren't in, and I will see if it affects the numbers at all, and I will just do a quick reevaluation of anybody that I have to reevaluate, and see if I can come up with maybe a top 5 out of using the main. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know if I'm going to rely solely on the overall combination of the two, or if I'm going to just take my top from the matrix system, my top from the overall TC, my top from the follow the figures, and then maybe 2 more I'll add from the overall power, and get a top 5 for this race, and just bet it accordingly. Look for value out of them top 5, play them to win, and use them top 5 in some verticals and see if we can score an exacta, try, or even a super. All right, so what I'm going to do is, my plan is later in the week to have more of these races done for Breeders' Cup Day, not just the Classic, using this particular model. The question is, am I going to have the time to squeeze in all 7 or 8 BC races? I do not have the time to do Fridays and Saturdays both, especially if I'm going to use this joint model here. I'm not going to have the time to do all races on Friday and all races on Saturday. So I'm going to, right now, target for Saturday's races, and I will do a video before that comes out. All right, thanks for tuning in, and I will talk to you soon.